Sir, we'll just do a quick round. It's what we call a series of fast questions, asking for fast answers on select issues. Okay, federalism, your view?
We need to study it further because this will chart our direction for the next 10, 20, 30 years. So it doesn't have to be railroaded or doesn't have to be rushed.
Wag
We have
madaliin.
to, wag madaliin lang. No, I'm open, but I would want to study it further because it's changing the fundamental of the land and changing the system of government. So we cannot afford to make mistakes here.
If we were to pursue that constitutional convention, or is there any circumstance where you'll accept the Constituent Assembly?
As long as we will vote separately.
Separately.
As long as both houses will vote separately. Because I think, time and again, the advantages of having a BICAM has been proven. Just with the train law, if there was no Senate, I think the taxes or the rates would have been very, very high. But the Senate really tried to pull it down, although the BICAM version still was a little bit high. But with the Senate there, at least there's the advantage of having a BICAM is very obvious. So I would rather have that we vote separately.
You mentioned the train law. What's your stand on Train 1 and Train 2?
Well, for Train 1, admittedly, we voted for it. But not making excuses, but we voted for a train law in the Senate that was much different in the final version. We, as I mentioned, we tried to bring down everything, the excise taxes, the rates. In the original version, it was 3 pesos for the first year, 3 pesos for the second year. In the Senate, it was 175 and 125. Also, in the Senate version, we had 2 safeguards. One is that if crude oil price reaches $80 for the next 3 months,
The average.
it can be the average can be suspended. But the other safeguard, which was taken out in the BICAM in the final version, which convinced me to vote for train, was when inflation reaches the 4% threshold, then train can also be suspended. So admittedly, that convinced me. At least there's 2 safeguards, and to my surprise, I didn't know that it was taken out. In the
So you're
BICAM.
in favor of an amendment of Train 1 to
Well, that will-
reinsert this provision
Yes,
on
a bit-
inflation?
Yes, of course, definitely. I would want to, if just in case, we'll be able to put that safeguard again, so that we will be able to prevent what is happening right now. In fact, during the explanation of votes during train, I raised all of these apprehensions of what's happening now. That it might cause not only inflation but food inflation. That's what's happening already.
Yeah, some
But sir-
economists have suggested that even on the $80 per barrel safety mechanism, some economists are saying now we have to factor in also the exchange rate
Yes.
back then. And if you factor in
Yeah.
the exchange rate, maybe hindi na kailangan antayin yung $80.
Yeah.
Baka ngayon pwede na
Yeah,
i-trigger. Do you-
circumstances were a lot different
Ah.
from last year until this year because exchange rate was different, and now crude oil prices is really skyrocketing. So,
But do you agree that we don't have to wait for that $80
Yeah,
to kick
I
in
would agree.
anymore?
In fact, about 8 senators, belonging to the majority, went to see the president a few weeks ago, and we discussed several things. But one of our agenda was to talk to him about the suspension of train, because we feel that there's already a justification because it's already $80. It might even hit $100. So we talked to the president, in which he was so open. At the time, he was already open to it, and I think it will be implemented by next year.
You're talking about the part 2 of
The part
Train
2.
1, which is the 2 pesos per
Yes.
liter coming January.
Yes.
So if the BICAM did not take out the provision on the 4% inflation cutoff, we wouldn't have train in action right now.
I think so, yes. Because it breached the 4% threshold already months ago. So that would have been the justification for it to be suspended. So that is the reason why it's still in effect. No? So I really, in fact, I was quite vocal about it when I learned that particular safeguard was taken out.
Okay. Human rights. Should it be an issue in these elections?
Well, I think so because it will. I'm sure that it will be made an issue by the opposition because that's one of the issues that that they are throwing at the Duterte administration. So
And
I'm quite sure that
your
it will be-
position is that exception, or your position is that no, there is really something that we should be talking about when it comes to you.
Well, we will, being a former chief executive, no, of course, we have to uphold human rights at all times, no. But in what has happened during the drug war, I suspect that some law enforcers are taking the president's pronouncements literally and probably, alam niyo si presidente, no? We have to be, yeah, we have to be, we have to get used to him already by now. So I think some law enforcers probably misunderstood or took advantage of the situation as well, no? So, and then he has already said that law enforcers should not be, should not abuse, no? This show of support, no, from the chief executive.
Are you in favor of lifting term limits?
Well, lifting term limits, it has because having term limits probably also gave rise to more dynasties because after an official's term is over, he'll make his son, his wife, other members of the family run. So it continues.
So you're in favor?
So
If there's an anti-dynasty provision,
I
which
would
is
think
actually
so.
in the federal charter
yeah, let us
proposal.
I think it would be let us let the people decide, no. I think it's a democratic process, so they can have a hand on who to choose, no. And I would still maintain my position that we have to give chance to others because the reason why I really support the anti-political dynasty because our population already is 106 million, and out of that 100 million, I think there are a lot of people who are capable of serving this government, but just doesn't have the name.
What about all these ouster plots? This Red October, White December, and Lord knows what comes in January.
Well, I think Red October is
You'd also
a
probably
movie.
You probably also have Red February as well, Valentine's.
I think it's just a movie from what the way I remember it. It's a very good movie
Do we
with
take
Sean
the
Connery.
answers, is that your answer already? Are you saying it's like a movie, or am I putting words in your mouth?
I don't think there's really a serious threat right now against the president. His popularity may have taken a hit because of inflation, but it's not enough to cause civil disturbance or anything like that.
But going back to tangentially to the issue of human rights and people's concerns over human rights, if, as you say, I don't believe that there was any real plot. What does that make of our military that was insisting on
Well,
were
actually-
they making it up?
Well, I cannot because I cannot dispute also because they have the access to all this intelligence reports which we do not have, no. But I just feel that the president's popularity is still at a level there's no cause yet for alarm for any mass action or any civil disturbance to take place.
Are we on the right track on the West Philippine Sea?
Well, I would still maintain that we have to fight for our territorial integrity and sovereignty at all costs, no. I know China, we cannot fight China, we cannot match them, but we have to exhaust all other means, no, not military, because if we have 12 fighter jets, supersonic, they have about 3,000 or 4,000, so no match talaga, no. They're a superpower or not. So, but we have to exhaust all means, diplomatic means, to fight for our sovereignty.
How should